Here's a question. What are you telling yourself all day long? I know sometimes when I'm playing, I've noticed this. I've talked about this a little bit before, but if I'm playing into a small room, right, and there's not that many people there, I get way more nervous than I do if there's like a big crowd and everyone's like into it, because then it's just like flowing through me. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is I'll get nervous and I'll kind of freeze up, or I don't play as fluidly as I would want, you know? It's kind of like the story about there's a caterpillar walking along and all of a sudden this other, I don't know, let's say a grasshopper came up to him and said, "Man, Mr. Caterpillar, how do you keep your legs when you walk? How do you know which one to put in order so you don't fall down?" And then Caterpillar was like, "I never really thought about it." And then the caterpillar started to walk, but then started thinking, how do I do that? And then the caterpillar wiped out because he was thinking about those legs being like, which one goes first. It's kind of how it is for me if I'm playing, you know. I've noticed this when I jam with Chad, and we're like, if I'm like, okay, this isn't, I have to do, I love country music, that's why I jam with him, plus he's awesome, but it's like if I'm doing a shuffle beat, I notice I'll sometimes have to dumb it down and just be like, dude, and it's weird. I can just feel myself getting tense. It's almost like my arms get contracted in a little bit, and I'm like, I have to remind myself, I have to like talk to myself like in my head, like this is all just, it is just in my head. I have to like remind myself, you're a good player. I'll actually have to tell myself this sometimes. Remember, Chad chose you to be his drummer, you know, and it's just funny how nerves, especially, I don't get that nervous playing, except, like I said, if there's like a more intimate crowd or something, or if I feel like, or if I just get in my own head and I feel like people are watching me, I'm like, oh my god, that's terrible. But here's the thing. You have to remind yourself that you are a good player, you know, and I tell myself that too. It's like I have to take control over my own mind. Be like, no, dude, you do go, it's like I'm talking, it's like there's two people inside my head, and I have to like have the real me kick in and be like, that's enough. You've been playing these songs forever. These are simple. Don't even trip on that. And then like I'll purposely do something a little more flamboyant to like show myself, like, see, I got this. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing, but that's what happens. Our minds are so developed and stuff that it's like they can take on a mind of their own, which is where, like I said, you have to kick in and control your own thoughts. So make sure you're feeding yourself good things, man. You know, you're out there. People, if you ever get nervous, remind yourself that they're not watching me, they're watching the other guy, right? Or whatever you have to do. I always like to make jokes about that to myself, like they're not watching you, and then I'd be like, why aren't they watching you? You're not cool enough? Then I'll try to like be like, well, they better watch me. You know, basically it's anything to keep myself loosey-goosey and more in the moment than instead of feeling like restricted and contracted and I can't do this thing. Because there was a book title I saw 20 years ago. It says, "You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought." And I think about that. That's kind of true. You know, keep it positive. You have a lot of good stuff in you, man. And, you know, think about this. Even if you are nervous, you keep playing. So it's like, maybe it won't go away. Maybe I'll always be nervous. You know, they had, who was it? Joe Walsh was talking about how when he got sober, he said, now I have to play these songs sober, which is terrifying. He's been doing it his whole life, 40 plus years, probably more than that, singing Rocky Mountain Way or whatever. But, you know, nerves hit us all. You keep going because you can and you're awesome. So that's what's up. Feed yourself the positive instead of the negative. Take control of your mind because you have a lot of good stuff in you. Talk to you guys later.